Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about price increases for old consoles because everything is broken. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Finelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a Friday. I've been on this channel a lot this week, helping you guys out. So I thought I'd balance my ugly mug with some cuteness to get us started. They say hello to Cooper. He was just outside barking at somebody, so I had to bring him in real fast. Figured I'd let him say hello. Hello. There's
Hello.
Cooper. All right,
Cooper.
But no, we're
Cooper.
doing
Chat
good.
loves you.
Cooper chat loves you, and Kitty in your background too, over your shoulder there.
Oh, yeah, she's doing her thing back there. This
place is going to the dogs on a Friday.
Yeah.
No, we're having a good time talking about video games and getting ready to close out the week. No, I am not the new Mike. Mike is still trapped. Did he get home okay? Is he home now?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him?
You know what? It's my new thing that he likes that I say, who cares? Or whatever. No, I'm pretty sure he got home just fine. He should be on later today, I think. So if he has a little bit of time, he might drop by for UPF. But like I said before, if he wants to relax, take it easy today, we'll also let him do that. Yeah, we're going to get back with the whole crew next week, everybody. But it's been great having Jason on so much stuff. So thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
As it says below here on the ticker, the Prince of Philadelphia. Philadelphia's own.
Philadelphia's own.
Again, glad you could do the show. Yeah, it's going to be we're going to take it easy this week.
Yeah.
It's
going to be good.
Wrap up the week with a kind of just some conversations. There's plenty to talk about, but also it's like it's been a long week, so let's just you and I hang out, have some fun.
I love that idea. Get ease into the weekend. It's going to be a crazy weekend for me. Not crazy in that I have a lot going on. Crazy in that it's Evo, baby. Happy Evo to you and yours, to those that celebrate Evolution Championship Series Day 1 kicking off in about an hour and 45 minutes from the Las Vegas Convention Center. 10 streams, 3 days of fisticuffs, and I am all about it. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it now. So what should people look for from Evo this weekend? I know you have some hot tips that people could find on some stuff you've written up. If you want to point people in that direction, let's do that. Where should people go? What should they be looking for?
Yeah, so if you go to GameSpot.com, right in the top 10 articles on the homepage, right there, you will see Evo 2025, how to watch every tournament, every announcement, and every exhibition that they will be having throughout the weekend. 13,000 unique entries across 16 different games will be descending on Las Vegas this week. 8 are in the main Evo lineup that they've been doing for years. This year, they've started a new extended lineup with games that are a little more legacy or maybe have been replaced in the main lineup by the company that makes them. So in your arena lineup, you have Street Fighter 6, which has 4,228 entries, Tekken 8 at 2,521, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves making its Evo debut at 1,576, strong number there, Guilty Gear Strive 1,508, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising at 936. The classic game this year is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at 570 entrants.
Yay.
Saturday night finals for Marvel 2. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a great stream at that point. I'm going to be very excited for that.
Under Night in Birth 2, Sis Celeste at 547, that word salad, good lord. And then Mortal Kombat 1 rounds things out at 377. That's the main arena lineup. They will be featured on the main streams, and I'll get into that schedule in a second. And then your extended lineup is Rivals of Aether 2 at 358, Blaze Brew Central Fiction at 247, Capcom versus SNK 2, This Is True Love We're Making at 236. Virtua Fighter 5 Revo 212, King of Fighters 15 169, Samurai Showdown 155, Guilty Gear Zerd Rev 2, word salad again, at 134, and the very underrated in 2025 at least, Killer Instinct from the 2013 reboot is 118 entrants. All of these will be streamed. I believe almost every match will be streamed somewhere. Maybe not in the 10 official Evo channels, which I'll get into, like I said, in a second, but there'll be plenty of fighting games to watch. So if you're looking for news, right, if you're looking for news and updates on the games, you should be focusing today on the main Evo channel. Evo, it's just called Evo. Now, I do want to say there is a channel called Evo and a channel called Evo 1. There are two different channels. This is just Evo with no number. Today is going to be their showcase. So panels, discussions, potential news, things like that. They go from 10 a.m. PT to the last scheduled thing is 8:30 p.m. PT. So all day long, they have panels and things like that. Virtua Fighter developer panel at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time, if you're looking forward to that. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection panel right afterwards at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. You may have already seen the news that Mortal Kombat Trilogy is being added to that Legacy Collection, plus pre-orders went live today for the regular and collector's editions and stuff like that. So if you're into that, go check that out there. Psy Games, if you like Grand Blue, that'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern. SNK hits the stage at 4 p.m. I'm sorry, 2 p.m. Pacific. SNK hits the stage at 4 p.m. Pacific. Invincible Versus, which I am very personally excited for, 5 p.m. Pacific for an hour and a half. They have the stage, which is pretty wild. And then the as far as panels go, for me, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls panel at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 Eastern. That is the highlight of the day. So that is all of the news you can expect on that main Evo channel. The rest of the weekend, that main Evo channel will also be where all the top 8s play out. So Saturday, it's Mortal Kombat, Under Night, Marvel, and Grand Blue. And then Sunday, it's Guilty Gear, Fatal Fury, Tekken 8, and Street Fighter. And in between those tournaments, they mix in the announcements. They've said Invincible Versus will be featured at these. Marvel Tokon will be featured at these. 2XKO should make an appearance, I believe. It's going to be a bonanza of fighting game stuff. It's just going to be wild. And then every one of the channels, the subsequent channels will have specific games. Like, for example, if you just want to watch Street Fighter, Evo 2 has nothing but Street Fighter Friday and Saturday. And it doesn't do anything because it doesn't need to on Sunday. If it's Tekken 8 you want to watch, that's Evo 3. And then Evo 4, 5, 6, and 7 will be mixing things up depending on what's going on. And then they do have 2 dedicated channels just to the extended lineup. Virtual Fighter, Rivals of Aether, Guilty Gear on Friday. Or, I'm sorry, on Evo Extended 1, and then Evo Extended 2 will be Capcom versus SNK 2, King of Fighters 15, and Blaze Blue, and a little bit of Killer Instinct as well. That schedule is extensive. The whole thing is on the GameSpot article that I wrote. If you want to look for a specific game, that's where you go. It's going to be fighting, and and I have always said that if you want to know what competitive gaming is like, if you're not familiar with it, the fighting game community is the purest way for a casual video game fan, for a casual fighting game fan, or for someone who doesn't play video games to experience competitive gaming, because I think it is the easiest for a layman, someone who doesn't know, to get all of the information they need translated to them as soon as possible.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, take a still screenshot from Tekken 8 or Street Fighter 6 from a broadcast of that game and put it next to a still screenshot from a broadcast of League of Legends. No disrespect to League of Legends.
League of Legends people, I think, would agree with this. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of information on the screen is absurd. And even like Overwatch or Call of Duty, if you're motion sick, you have no chance. You can't watch that. So I think if FGC is indeed the greatest depiction of competitive gaming, as the chat says, it just is. Mm-hmm. It has that like UFC, WWE sort of feel, especially when someone's popping off. If you need a highlight from last year to give you the full idea, go watch Street Fighter 3 Third Strike with Hayao.
Go watch Moment. Just Google Moment 38. Evo Moment 38.
Moment 38.
Yep.
That's it. Oh man, that shit was awesome.
Yeah, it's the best.
But and if you're out there, if you're going to Evo, there's a full convention surrounding it. You'll be able to play Tokon. You'll be able to play Invincible Versus. You'll be able to play Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. 2XKO is there again. There's meet and greets. One of my favorite fighting game artists of all time, Shinkiro, who did all the Capcom and SNK art. He made this wonderful poster of the Evo 37 parry, where it's Ken parrying Chun-Li and Mai and Terry are in the background, the crossover characters, Terry and Mai to Street Fighter, Ken and Chun-Li to Fatal Fury. It's wonderful stuff. No, we know it's Moment 37. The parry is Moment 37.
No,
38
yes.
is the one from last year.
Yeah, we're talking about Moment 38. Yep, it's a different thing.
Don't you fact check me, chat. At least not yet. Let's wait till the stuff I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this we know what we're talking
check
about.
Me yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Moment 37 and Moment 38 are different. The Moment 38 lived up to such hype that everyone said, you're Moment 38 now. Like that's how good it was.
Hayao is awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, if you have any passing interest in fighting games at all, this is the Super Bowl. This is the fighting game Super Bowl for all of these games and the news that surrounds it. Honestly, fighting games are in a pretty good spot. I have 3 storylines that I think are important this year. One is the declining attendance. I do want to bring up Marino had the decline in attendance, I should say. Marino, the veritable Marino, who is out there. I did see that he picked up his badge.
Have fun, bud.
Wearing a Sir Daniel Fortescue from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale t-shirt. What a guy. He had posted, where is that? I meant to have it ready and then I didn't. So yes. So if you look at the numbers in the games that were in last year's EVO and this year's EVO, there is a trend down. I mentioned Street Fighter had 4288. Last year it was 5265. That's a 20% drop.
Yeah.
Guilty Gear was a 26% drop. Grand Blue 32. Word Salad Under Night is 30%. Mortal Kombat 1 is 46%. King of Fighters is 54%. And Tekken, which I skipped on purpose, 45% down, right? There is a definite reason for this.
There's probably a couple of reasons, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the main one I think if you look at the picture as a whole, is the political climate we live in.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard to travel to the United States right now or justify traveling here for sure.
Yeah, it just is, and I wonder how. I don't think it's going to affect the viewing experience, but I am genuinely curious how it's going to affect the competition itself.
Yeah.
The second storyline kind of builds off of that, and that's Tekken 8 specifically. That drop is considerable, but that particular game, I think, is just as much because of how mad people are at the state of that game at the moment. Ever since season 2 launched, it has just been fumble after fumble, and they just can't dig out of it.
Yep.
I'm hoping they can do it soon. I'm hoping it has a good showing here and starts to get them good graces back, because I love Tekken. I like Tekken 8 a lot. It's just not in a very good spot right now. All they have to do is put the Waffle House stage in there,
and
everything will be
solve
redeemed.
all the problems. Yep, it's all good from there.
Call it Pancake Punch, and that's it. Put it in there. But I think that's the second one. And the third one is more for the convention as a whole, and that's the burgeoning tag fighter scene. 2XKO.
Yeah, it feels like next year's lineup is going to look very different than this year's lineup, right? Because a lot of those games are going to come out and kind of dominate this space, I think, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. To the point where I think maybe they're putting the extended lineup in this year just to have it for next year, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these games are still the current game, so they're going to bleed into that. But the burgeoning tag scene, specifically Marvel Tokon, 2XKO, Invincible versus 2XKO, like I said, had a 2-year lead, a 2-year head start, and it evaporated in a week span with Marvel Tokon and that state of play, and Invincible versus 4 days later at Xbox. It's that is an interesting scene all of a sudden. 3 games that offer completely different things. One's more of a traditional tag, and Invincible versus 2XKO does some interesting things with their link system. And now Marvel Tokon, based on that video yesterday, is completely wild.
Yeah.
I am very curious to see what opinions are coming out of EVO based on those 3 games. So that's it. That's EVO, baby. Make sure you watch them fighting games.
I'm ready.
Welcome to EVO Mess Mornings all of a sudden, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. You got me more hyped than I was before, and I had such a good time watching last year. It was that Halo moment really has stuck with me, but there was so much cool stuff from last year. So looking forward to watching again, and I think it's an interesting year because everything is kind of like in a weird space with some of these games, especially something like a Tekken. And it's like, I bet there's going to be something we come out here and be like, you know what, everything's just fine. And look at all these games that are coming down the pike. So, yep, fighting games in a cool and interesting and worthwhile place to pay attention to. Glad we were able to do that. Let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. Go to giantbomb.com/join to help us out. You become a premium member. That money all goes towards supporting what we do here and ensuring that we can do more cool stuff. It also gets you ad-free versions of our shows, gets you some special goodies. We're getting to work on a lot of that stuff, and really we're getting to work on a lot of the cool stuff as well. That is I think the primary reason to support us is we got some interesting stuff that people love to watch, and if you love it, support us. We appreciate it, everybody. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game S Morning. Wording? No. Nintendo increasing price of Switch and other products in the U.S. This is from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Okay, let's just get into it. Nintendo has announced that it's raising the price of the original Switch and other Nintendo products in the United States. Switch 2 pricing, however, will remain unchanged, at least for now. Beginning August 3rd, the price of the Switch will go up based on market conditions, and that's in quote. The regular Switch, Switch OLED, Switch Lite, and select, and that's in quotes as well, accessories, will get unspecified price increases. That's right. The price is going up, and Nintendo is not telling us by how much. They're just warning us that on August 3rd, the price is going to go up. So if you've been meaning to buy a Switch Lite or whatever for some reason, this week, I guess they've created a sense of urgency, and now is the time to go do that. Look, Jason, I get the reality of market conditions. And the tariffs really are still there. It feels like we've moved past them. Just today, Trump was putting a 35% tariff on Canada. There's more being placed on Brazil. But don't forget that there are still tariffs on China, Vietnam, Taiwan. These places all have their own significant tariffs that are more than just like 10%, which also already would have been too much and would probably force these companies to increase prices. They're at like 25 to 30% for these tariffs. So that stuff is still there, but the Switch one could just kind of fizzle out. Like, can't Nintendo just let it like not make as much? I struggle to see like how they aren't making a profit on that thing still, because it's old hardware. The price on manufacturing has to have come down. Now I say that, and the reality is we know that there's been a lot of issues with manufacturing and sourcing parts, and it becomes more difficult every year seemingly. And so and combine that with the tariffs, maybe not. Maybe they do feel like they need to raise the price, but it still, why not just take the hit, let the Switch 1 sort of move into the bush like Homer Simpson, and let the Switch 2 take the spotlight. This is insane to me that we're raising the price of the Switch 1 after the Switch 2 is out.
Yeah, it is insane to me, but I do sort of see a small strain of logic to it.
Sure.
And that being, if you are going to raise a price to recoup costs, it makes sense to reduce the current stock of the previous generation, because either you get the extra for those sales, or B, they just say, well, for $100 more, I can just get the Switch 2 and be caught up. Yeah. And then you may push people to the Switch 2 that way, right? I don't like it. I don't know if you saw the Target does have the new prices up. Switch Lites are now $229 up from $199. Non-OLEDs are $339 up from $299, and Switch OLEDs are $400 up from $350. So I could definitely see a parent being like, wait, the old one's $400, the new one's $500. I can do the extra $100, and then, or $50 if they don't bundle a game in with it. That's a good point. And just say, oh, I'll do the upgrade, and now we're Switch 2 owners, and that'll be that. I'm also, and I said this in I think one of my group chats. Never underestimate the ignorance of your fellow man, or the capability for ignorance in your fellow man. And some parent is going to miss the big two. They're going to be sent in for a Switch 2, and they're going to see this one and see that price, and that it's not going to be much different, and they're going to be like, oh, this is what they want, and they're going to get the first.
Nintendo can't be banking on that, right? That can't be the strategy.
No,
that can't be the kind of thing where it's like, we are going to be sneaky and try to make a little bit more money by fooling people. I mean, I do think that will be a byproduct of this. I also think a byproduct of this is the medium popcorn effect of, oh, this is only $100 more now. Let's go for the Switch 2. Definitely. But I think they can't be like using those as primary strategies for selling the Switch 2 because it just looks really odd. It speaks volumes, right? This is screaming to us, get used to this kind of thing. The Switch 2's price is probably going to go up. Like, honestly, you should be feeling anxious about, if you haven't got a Switch 2 yet, then this is Nintendo talking now, you should be feeling anxious because we're going to raise the price at any minute. And they said that they reserve the right to do that. So that, like, basically they are doing everything except for confirming there will be a Switch 2 price increase at some point. So, you know, there was a time where this was the exact opposite or would happen, where we would get price decreases when the new console came out. And to live in this very, very opposite world, it's like, okay, this whole system feels broken. Obviously, the market effects are real. And the reality is, this is us just kind of catching up. Like, we're like, I'm aghast at this or whatever. But the price went up in Canada, I think, for the Switch 1 a few months ago, right? And now we're just getting the price increase here. Like, they spared us for a little bit. So, yeah, but still, it is a weird timing. You know, at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, they didn't get the price increase for the Switch 1 done by the time the Switch 2 launched. Obviously, the move here now is just kind of leave everything alone, move on, and focus on the Switch 2. And they're not even doing that. So, I kind of, it's hard to read this in any other way other than Nintendo screaming to everybody that we are going to take every opportunity we have to increase the price. Because, you know, if the tariffs go away, I suppose maybe the Switch 1, I was going to say, oh, you know, the Switch 1 won't go back down in price. But again, who knows? Maybe they would bring it back down because it's the Switch 1. Who cares? They're not going to sell a ton more of those. Now, they are going to sell some more of those, and they have to manufacture them, and Nintendo's very conservative and wants to cover their costs. If it comes from a place like that, I guess I get it, but I really still don't because it just looks so strange. Do you think, like, okay, Nintendo's doing this, and Nintendo's tried ahead or has successfully like charged $80 for one of its games. They have this new console that is relatively expensive for what people thought it would cost. A lot of people thought it would cost a little bit less than that, $450, $400. The other companies around Nintendo seem to keep taking like, okay, Nintendo's doing it, so maybe we can get away with it. Do you think this leads back to even more price increases from Xbox and Sony, or did they already get theirs in and this is Nintendo catching up?
I think the latter. I think Nintendo is just kind of, I think Nintendo sat back, was a little bit patient, and is now trying to pull every lever they can other than the Switch 2 one before they are forced to pull the Switch 2 one. I mean, maybe you see a Series S increase, perhaps, because there is some room to move there, as much as I don't want to say that. But if anything's going to go up, I think it's going to be that. I don't know that Microsoft and Sony really have a lot of room to follow suit, right? And that's from a financial standpoint and from a goodwill standpoint, right? Xbox in particular, if they come out with a price increase for their consoles, they basically just say we prefer them to sit on the shelf than be in your house because that's what they're going to do. I would be absolutely aghast if either of those companies announced an increase in America. But then again, we do live in bizarro world now. Everything is weird. Every decision that's ever been made in the last however long has been the opposite of what it should have been or I thought it would be. So who the hell knows, Jeff?
Right. I'm trying to remember. I think the timeline for Sony is they raised the price of the PlayStation 5 everywhere except for the United States, or did we eventually get one in the United States? I think you could still.
I don't think we ever did. I think it's still $499 and $449. I think are the prices.
Right, but they raised it everywhere else, so it's like we've all been kind of like, don't touch it because it might fall apart, and then what falls out is price increases. And I think that this might convince Sony to move on that, but there's also been some backlash. The $80 price hasn't seemed to work for anything else other than Mario Kart, so maybe everyone's like, Nintendo can touch the hot stove, maybe we can't get away with it as much. I think Sony feels like it probably would be able to get away with it, but the PlayStation 5's at a weird point in its life cycle where people are looking at it and be like, oh, all the games are from Microsoft, and well, why did I buy this system, Sony? I want your games. And so I think they might wait until they have a few more things out there coming out in the next couple of years. But even then, it's like, what are we talking about? They're waiting to increase the price. This, to me, speaks to the somewhat rotten foundation of console gaming as a whole right now, where these companies, the strategy is get more money from the same people. They don't necessarily think about growing their market share, and not versus, not when I'm not talking about market share versus like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, but their market share versus like TikTok and other things that take people's leisure time. So now, does Nintendo feel that way? They grew a lot with the Switch 1. I bet they have like a relatively good understanding that the Switch 2 is going to do maybe as good as the Switch 1 or slightly worse. Like, it'll be very difficult for them to do better than the Switch 1. So for them to increase profits this generation, price increases is kind of the thing they kind of rely on. So again, I think this goes back to them understanding that the console generation or the console market not growing with bringing in a lot of new young people, and then Nintendo using the Switch 1 as a way of getting us used to the idea of even more price increases than we have become accustomed to. And it's just a bummer all around. Very strange. Now, Nintendo's had some earnings reports. It's doing very well. The Switch 2 has sold 5.82 million units worldwide. That's from My Nintendo News. Nintendo has confirmed this morning that the recently released Nintendo Switch 2 has sold 5.82 million units worldwide since the console launched on the 5th of June. This sales figure counts hardware sales up to June 30th, 2025, so no doubt it has now sold a fair few more units since. I think Nintendo confirmed like it's more than 6 million now, if you go up to like today's sales, something like that. But yeah, 5.63 million, or I'm sorry, that's for Mario Kart. 5.82 million for Switch 2, and then Mario Kart has sold 5.63 million, almost a 1-to-1 attach rate.
That's crazy to me.
Crazy.
I would love to know the split of bundles versus non-bundles, and why someone would buy a non-bundle unless they had to.
Right. If you can't find it. Right. Yes, I think that's going to be the only reason most people did, because it seems like everyone just like says, yeah, I should have that game, and it makes sense. Yeah,
I think too, the one thing to take from this is, and I said this the last time we talked about Switch sales figures, the fact that this amount of stock was available for them to reach these heights so soon is commendable. Like, that's they clearly were ready with all the rumors and time that we had between when we thought it was coming and when it actually came. They were just probably stockpiling consoles, and I think it paid off for them clearly. I would love all of the people who have bought the Switch and don't own Mario Kart to buy it, just because I want to see a 1-to-1 attach rate. I was sicko like that. But yeah, I mean, what else can you say? That's the early strategy has paid off. Now it's time for the long-term strategy to show its hand here, and let us know when things are coming out and what you're going to do to support these now 6 million plus people who bought in on day 1, month 1, month 2. What's next? How are you going to keep us? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And on that point, Kirby Air Riders has been rated for Switch 2, one of the games coming up for that system. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. Masahiro Sakurai, Sean made me say that way, everybody, by the way. Masahiro Sakurai, his latest project, Kirby Air Riders, soars onto Nintendo Switch 2 at some point later this year. While we haven't heard all that much about it since the initial announcement in April, the game has reportedly been rated in Saudi Arabia recently, receiving an age rating in the location of 7 and above. Whatever, details don't matter here. Really what matters is the game, people speculated, I think, based on this news, looking at other Saudi Arabia ratings, that they only rate games once they've completed development. That's probably actually true. I think that's probably true. I think that tends to be how it works, where these ratings agencies are like, you got to send us some material, but the game has to be ready to go, so no changes can sneak in underneath us. But maybe that's not how it works. Either way, I think we can assume this game is probably pretty close to going. And when it gets rated like this, okay, that means it can come any minute now. Now, at the same time, this is Nintendo. Jason, they do the thing of holding on to games for longer than you would expect. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen here. This game is coming. We still haven't got a date, though. So do you think this is one of those ones where it's like, okay, we just had that partner direct, And now we are expecting a September Direct, although they haven't said anything about that, but it usually happens. I think it's always happened for like the last 10 years or something like that, but whatever, we can expect one. So do you think this is another one of these game date announcements that gets saved for that? Or is this one that could pop up on Nintendo Today app anytime between now and then?
Of all the games that we know that Nintendo has in first-party development, I think this is the one that has the highest chance of you just wake up on a Monday morning and you're like, oh, by the way, Kirby Air Riders launching blah, blah, blah on Nintendo Switch 2 on your Nintendo Today app. This is the one. If they're going to, if they announce the Metroid Prime 4 release date on Nintendo Today, they're going to have to replace a lot of phones from people going, holy shit, and throwing it across the room. So you do it on Kirby Air Riders, you go, oh, all right, sure, that's fine. And then you move on to the next announcement. But yes, I do also think that the routine September Direct, usually sometimes as early as the Wednesday after Labor Day, sometimes it goes a little later into September.
Right.
The latest it's ever been was the 21st of September. It was supposed to be the 14th, and then that earthquake happened. So they delayed it a week. So I wholeheartedly expect there to be a Direct and for this game to be there in some capacity. But I also would not be surprised if we know the release date for it before that Direct happens, and sometime in August, Nintendo's like, oh, by the way, we're still awake and this is when this game's coming out. Thanks, y'all.
It's August now. Like July does feel like a time where it's okay. They did do a Direct in July, but that, we don't get a ton of news about this industry in July. Typically, that's changed a little bit, but typically, August we do start to hear things. They start to go like, oh, I can see the holiday season. We should be ready for that. And so I think this is like things start to shake loose this month. I think that is probably what is going to happen with the Nintendo Today app this month, where some of these things we keep asking about do shake loose in the next couple of weeks. And then they could put everything else in the September Direct, and they can also remind us about these dates in the September Direct. So it's like if Kirby Air Riders does get a date between now and September, that game will also probably just be in the September Direct with even more information at that point. So I think Nintendo will probably have some information dropping about many of these games here very soon.
Agreed.
All right, here are the top 10 best-selling Switch games as of June 2025. Kind of another check-in on just how well some of these games have sold. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is now at 60.86 million units, almost 70 million. It sold that's another 600,000 units there, I believe, or no, maybe that's 60,000. Excuse me, another 60,000 units in the last quarter. Mario Kart, Animal Crossing New Horizons is at 40.19 million. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is at 36.55 million. These are just massive numbers. As a reminder, the exclusives for like an Xbox or a PlayStation console game typically, honestly, for anything that's not Spider-Man, is around 10, 12 million, 15 million. That's really, really, really good for a PlayStation exclusive. Spider-Man gets up to like 20 million, I think, something in that range. But you have several games here from Nintendo that are above 20 million, including Super Mario Party at 21.19 million. Now, one thing that I did find interesting here, Jason, is the Zelda games. So Breath of the Wild was at 32.8 million last quarter, and it sold another, let's see, is that 20,000 units?
100,000.
Yeah, okay, yes. And okay, so then Tears of the Kingdom was at 21.73 million units. And let's see, that is... It didn't...
Again.
Yep, and they're growing at about the same rate, right? So it's like those games, they just kind of... I don't know, they're in parallel, but people have not slowed down on buying Breath of the Wild because Tears of the Kingdom's out there. It's a little weird thing to see. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with that. And I wonder, too, this is sales, not unit movements. I wonder, A, are they including Nintendo Switch 2 Edition? And B, how do the free online expansion upgrades factor into this?
Right. I'm like looking through these numbers and trying to see. It's like, okay, what games did get like significant updates? Scarlet and Violet. That one looks like it did another 300,000. No, more than that, 400,000.
400,000. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like really good for that. And I think that's probably one that was like people were legitimately waiting. That sounds like the kind of spike in sales you can expect from something like that.
Yeah, surprisingly, I think the biggest jump in sales of all of these is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's 600,000
Yeah,
units.
you're right. It was
When
600,000. Yeah, I said
when
60,000.
World is out,
Yeah, I mean,
World is out. This game cannot be stopped.
it literally just has a momentum all its own. It is a
Yeah.
self-perpetuating machine at this point, and yeah, it's bananas to see that it can continue to sell that well. Even like even if you consider like part of that quarter was before the Switch 2 was out, it's like okay, so it's sold all right before that. No, that's a number that you only do if it just continues to sell. Like people probably bought a Switch 2 and got Mario Kart World and bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They got both. It's like a very wild thing to see. And Nintendo's trying to recreate that with World. I think they probably will end up doing so because despite like any like the specific issues I might have with that game, the general audience seems pretty happy with it. So.
And Hot Dog Suit in chat, I heard that as well, even though it's not what he said. You said bananas to see, but we all heard bonanzas to see.
Bonanzas to see.
We
That's
all
right.
heard it.
All right. Let's take a quick break. Go to our ad. When we come back, plenty more headlines to get into, including let's talk about Battlefield 6. I'm feeling pretty excited about that. If you want to skip out on this, you go to giantbomb.com/join, get the ad-free version of the show. You didn't do that, though, so let's go to this. All right, we're back. Game Best Mornings. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Jason Finelli. All right, Jason, what are we talking about?
All right, so I would like to shout out Blaine Sheasley on Blue Sky. Tagged me and you in a post saying, got a brand new Asterisk TV and decided to use it to watch the news this morning. He is watching Game Mess Mornings on a Sony Trinitron CRT TV.
Yeah!
It is glorious. I am so into that. I don't know how you did it. I reposted it. If you're on Blue Sky, go check it out. I have never looked so good on a screen in my life.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. So, Blaine, well done, mate.
Oh man, I love that. All right, look at that.
So good.
Man, it's old Trinitron 2. That's the shit. Okay, very cool, Blaine. All right, let's get back into the headlines here. With Battlefield 6 is a spiritual successor to Battlefield 3 and 4, Vince Zampella says. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. But this is really just a kickoff for us to talk about the previews and everything like that. But real quick, Battlefield 6 is set to release on October 10th. And this week, EA showed off the game's multiplayer for the first time at preview events across the world. The thing I've been hearing mostly from people is they're pretty excited about it, and it does remind them of Battlefield 3 and 4. It feels like, the real Battlefield 5 is what people are saying. Now, I haven't played it. I will say, and I saw someone in chat point out that Steven Titillo made the same point by retweeting and reposting a bunch of previews for Battlefield 2042, where people sounded very similar to how they sound now. Battlefield is back. It's going back to its roots. This is the Battlefield we've been waiting for. So we can get our hopes up still. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And this is still the game that people have been asking for from DICE. But do you think we're setting ourselves up for disappointment or what? Is it hard to say now?
Hard to say right now because a lot of the enthusiasm that you're hearing is from people who were in the room and potentially flown out there to do it. I don't want to say that they're compromised, but they're the content creators, the YouTubers who will go out there and play this game and are in the room being interviewed by EA on the official live stream while they're playing it. What are they going to say? No, your game sucks. Like, you have to take all of those impressions with a grain of salt.
It's also just easy to get caught up in the hype, right? Like it is
sure,
like when you're there, it's infectious.
Have y'all met me?
Yeah.
I am a hype machine. I think I got out of my chair yesterday for a mouse game. Let's not say that I'm immune to this, but I have read some articles and some interviews and things like that where they've talked about. I think the guy from Ripple Effect said they went back and looked at 3 and 4 and really tried to enhance that experience in this new game. And I think that is the way to go, right? You go back to why did people gravitate towards those games so much and see if how you can translate that or improve on it. Just get 5 and 2042 out of your view and just focus on 3 and 4. If that's what they did, I think that's the right approach to take. Honestly, we won't know for sure until the open betas happen next weekend and the weekend after. But for now, I like what I'm hearing. I like the direction it sounds like they're taking. But until I am holding a controller, checking it out, I cannot in good conscience say Battlefield's back, because I don't know.
Yep,
I just don't know.
that's where I'm at too. But I can imagine that this game is in a better place than even 2042 was, because it's like 2042 was. It did feel like the Pepsi challenge, where like people tried it and it's like, oh, this does taste the sweetness that I want. It's right there. They are delivering the game I want, and then it just didn't have everything behind it to sort of support that. Hopefully, it's like this is just them being like, okay, let's go even more back to Battlefield 3 and 4 and learn from our lessons from 2042. It's entirely possible that all of that has happened, and this is really the game that people have been waiting for. So beta starts next week, I believe. People are going to get a chance to get their hands on with this thing. Hopefully, I will go on hands on as well and be able to form my own opinion. But I bet a lot of people will come out of that, and at the very least, we will know a lot more at that point. Although it will still be easy to get caught up in the hype from a beta.
I do want to make a point that Lexi made in chat here, giantbomb.com/chat if you're not there yet. Also kind of weird that no one has covered the game's pretty American nationalist, wet, dreamy story concept, which is, hey, there was an assassination. She didn't write that. I did, because I did cover it, Lexi, GameSpot.com news article. Basically, there's a major assassination that breaks up NATO, and this PMC tries to fill the void, and that's who you're fighting against in the single-player campaign. The 30-second teaser was just a woman giving this speech about how the allegiances you thought you had, you don't have, and blah, blah, blah. And then she quotes Littlefinger from Game of Thrones for some reason.
Oh, Jason, we're losing you a little bit. You're just like roboting while it sounds like a robot cursing. Hang on. Let's go. Okay, let's give it a second. Let's see if it comes back. All right. Yep, NATO got him. It's Rascal's dad. NATO came for Jason Fidelli. Everybody. Oh, you're still breaking up. Maybe try leaving the call and coming back. You know what? Hang on. Let me change the region of the call. Let me see if that'll fix it real quick. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, it does sound like you're back, but let's go to U.S. Central here. Save changes. Okay. All right.
Oh boy. How about that?
I think we're back.
Okay.
Got him, everybody. We saved him, despite the cruelty that everyone knows from NATO. Jason Fidelli has survived, and we got him back on the show. It's gonna be all right.
I'm back. I live.
You did point. Yeah, you pointed out this to me yesterday that they quoted Littlefinger, but they say, "As the man says." That's
as the man says. Chaos is a ladder, and I'm like, oh my god, that's just come on, guys. Someone must have just watched that episode and was like, you know what, this works in our trailer. But whatever. Sure. Let's quote Littlefinger and see what the single player campaign has to do.
Honestly, going back to a nationalistic dream story scenario also sounds kind of like going back to the heyday for this genre. It's like, people want to feel like it's the James Bond thing, right? James Bond came about from the UK. Because the UK was once an empire, and then they weren't anymore, and their presence on the world stage had diminished, and so they created a character to make it feel like we could still affect global events. America is far along that timeline as well. That's why, like, the Mission Impossible movies have been doing better and better over time, and it's why we crave, like, the general audience craves games like this, because they want to feel like, okay, the military that we spend all this money on has this value that we don't even fully understand, and we need them here and to protect us from the worst case scenarios. And that's what this could look like. Look what happens if NATO goes away. So I think people crave it the way they crave Tom Clancy novels, and now we crave it even more because of the position United States has on the global stage.
Remember Rainbow Six Patriots?
Yeah, I mean we've got a ton of those.
People are still trying to make that game.
Yep. All right, let's see here. I think we're sticking with Battlefield 6 for a second. Battlefield 6 will have grounded skins, not from the video game Grounded. They'll have skins that are grounded in reality. They say, I don't think it needs Nicki Minaj. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. In an interview with comic book producer Alexia Christofi said much the same thing, explaining that Battlefield Studios is hoping to make Battlefield 6's skins feel grounded. We want people to express themselves and to have cool skins and peacock in a way. Like, I look pretty cool and I have great weapon skins. What we want it to feel authentic to the franchise. That's the approach we're thinking. I think that this is the right thing to say right now. And if this game does end up getting 100 million players, this will be laughed at one day when it does have all of the insane skins. I think it's both are true. That they want to serve this audience of people who like Battlefield and want it to feel serious, and that's fine. They should do that, but I do think it's a little incompatible with their long-term plans for this game. But the reality is, it doesn't have to be incompatible for the launch. They could do this and mean it for now, and if it changes one day, so be it. And people will complain about it then, but if they've been playing that whole time, it's because they really like the game. And at that point, DICE will probably say to themselves, we can get away with a little bit more now. Now, does that mean one day SpongeBob is in the game? Probably not. But like, just look at Counter-Strike weapon skins, right? Those that like gets so wild over time. They end up just like being like all tie-dye and stuff like that. That'll happen here for sure. And people are saying they don't even want that. So let's wait and see what happens. But I think this is the right thing to say for now. What do you think, Jason?
I think so too. And I wonder if they're just saying this to cover their ass in case all the licenses are gobbled up by Activision and there's no crossovers left to do, right?
Have you seen the videos going around of Call of Duty recently of like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle going up to a Terminator and then pointing at the Terminator, and then Beavis comes out and kicks the Terminator in the nuts? And it's like, wait, what is this? Oh, this is Call of Duty. Okay. Now, to me, I'm like,
Fortnite.
I'm like, hell yeah, this rules, and everyone else is like, holy shit, this is miserable. But I get it, yeah. People don't want that for sure, right?
Yeah, I don't think they want that, but I think there's a way you could thread the needle here, right? You can give them famous skins of fictional characters or whatever, but also have them grounded in some sort of reality. I am shocked that Call of Duty or Fortnite or Counter-Strike or whatever hasn't gone to Fox and said, hey, what are you doing with Jack Bauer?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. In one of these, you know what I'm saying? Reacher would be perfect for something like this. There are characters that you could license that fit into the aesthetic, but that still kind of scratch that.
Do you think it's like the Mortal Kombat guest character sort of thing where it's like, oh, you know what? At the end of the day, all these kind of make sense.
Yes, well, some of them do, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, Omni-Man did not, and Homelander didn't make any sense to me, other than the fact that they were over the top, violent. But then when they came into the game and they found a way to fit them into those lures, sure, they gave them their own lure within the franchise. I should say that made sense. The horror franchise monsters didn't make any goddamn sense, but they made them work. The way that they put Ghostface into Mortal Kombat 1, I still think is brilliant. And then, like, as somebody puts in chat, you could mess with you get your realistic Jack Bauer, but then you get, Johnny English, the guy who played Mr. Bean, and you have fun with that. Liam Neeson in The Naked Gun would be hysterical. Just him bumbling around in a game like this. So there are ways to do it. I don't think people are against guest characters or guest skins. I think people are against, like, a Ninja Turtle pointing at a Terminator and then Beavis kicking him in the nuts. Right. In Call of Duty, I would expect that in Fortnite. I would not expect that in Call of Duty.
There's a reason they keep selling it in Call of Duty, though. That audience, I still think, is like, they don't care. They've had their weed, the red site weed skin for 15 years now, so they're all aboard all this stuff. Battlefield might be a little different.
I need to self-correct. I forgot his name. I knew his first name was Rowan. I could not remember his last name, so I didn't say it at all. Rowan Atkinson is Mr. Bean's name, and I thank you for correcting me. I do appreciate that.
All right, let's see here. Finally, with the EA stuff, EA doesn't currently have plans to bring Battlefield 6 to Switch 2. I think this is something like they're not going to have that ready to go at launch. Why not just take your time? Nintendo Switch 2's partner showcase has just revealed what's ahead for new hybrid platforms in the hybrid platform in terms of third-party offerings. But it seems one series that won't be showing up anytime soon is EA's popular military shooter Battlefield. Eurogamer spoke to Battlefield's head Vince Zampella as part of Battlefield 6's multiplayer reveal today, and it's been officially confirmed that the company doesn't currently have plans to bring the game to Nintendo's new system. The team is focused on delivering the game where the core Battlefield audience is at present, according to the same story. Yeah, this is another one of these, like, you definitely do this for now, and then if you have the capacity later, if it makes sense, it can come to Switch 2 at any point. I don't think anyone was buying the Switch 2 expecting this game to be there, and there aren't a lot of Battlefield fans currently demanding it there. But that could change if the game becomes very popular, and people are like, I wish I could play that on the Switch 2. And then they could do it then, although maybe it'll never be a perfect fit. I do think, like, we'll test things out with Madden first, see how things go, and then determine whether they can find an audience for other kinds of games as they see what that does in Apex Legends. So maybe it'll be a couple years before Battlefield 6 shows up on Switch 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens.
don't get hasty here. EA is already supporting the Switch 2 with 4 games. They can't stretch themselves out any further. But no, but I'm with you on that. Also, I'm seeing a lot in chat that maybe the Switch 2 simply can't run Battlefield 6. But I send you to yet another article that I wrote myself. I'm so sorry. I keep tooting my own horn here. The PC specs were some of the news that came out from
I didn't see this. Okay. What they put out there?
I'll bring them up right now.
Let's do it.
No, wait, come on. And as my headline says, Battlefield PC specs revealed, and you won't need a military-grade PC to run it. The minimum PC requirements are a i5 processor, 16 gigs of memory, and a 2060 or 5600 Radeon or equivalent. That's not terrible.
I would say that like for the GPU side of things, that probably sounds pretty promising for the Switch 2. It will come down to the CPU. The CPU is a little PS4-y inside the Switch 2. Battlefield 6 is next gen only. Is that what? Because it just let me double check that. I guess I didn't even think to
it is next gen only. There was a whole article about how they were skipping PS4 and
I'm
PS5.
saying next gen. I know it's current gen, everybody, but God, it's we still have that other gen that's current as well. So it's a weird thing to talk about. I imagine the CPU would probably be the issue because they are going to have like 64 on 64 battles or something like that. Is it 128 players, or even if it's 64 players total, 32 on 32? That might be a little difficult for the Switch 2's CPU with everything else going on. And if there's a lot of destruction that runs on the CPU as well, more than likely, and simulating that with everything else going on. So I could see there just being issues there. I don't think it's going to be impossible to solve, though. If they wanted to get Battlefield 6 on Switch 2, I think they could, but would it be worth it? That'll be a conversation. And honestly, the answer might probably be no in a couple of years even, where it's like, okay, the game is super popular, but it would just take too much work to get it on the Switch too. That could be possible. All right, let's do this next one. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection Physical Editions announced. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Publisher Atari and developer Digital Eclipse have announced physical editions of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and Xbox One consoles, Switch 2, and PC. Mortal Kombat Trilogy has also been confirmed as playable game in the collection. You were telling me that the Mortal Kombat collection, or Mortal Kombat Trilogy, fan favorite, right? In a lot of ways, it's a weird game. It's got a lot of quirks to it, but people love those quirks. And so this wasn't confirmed up until this point, and now it's in there, and people seem to be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, it came out in like 96. It was on PS, Dreamcast, and N64, and it basically mashed all of the 2D Mortal Kombat characters into one big game. It's wild, it's dumb, it's unbalanced, but yeah, it's fun. If you're going to make a legacy collection, you have to include it simply for the sheer insanity. I do think they're using the PlayStation or Dreamcast edition, not the N64, because if you look at, there was a 30-second trailer teaser that came out with the announcement, and if you look at it, it shows the character select screen for Trilogy, and it has the full. Oh no, it wasn't Dreamcast. You're right. I'm sorry. It was Saturn. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Saturn,
Okay.
Not Dreamcast. Thank you for the correction. But it has the full character select screen that the N64 characters were missing a row, and the one in this game, in this trailer, was not missing it. So we're getting PS1 and Saturn specifically. I don't know if that means we'll get both versions, because they do like to put the handheld versions and the Super Nintendo versions and the arcade versions of the older games. That remains to be seen. Maybe we'll get that answer on the Evo show floor.Maybe they'll have options and you can play whichever one you want. But I think it's neat. I think it's really cool that it's here, and we're now at the precipice, not to like brush over this announcement, because it is cool, but now we're at the precipice of what's next, because all you really have left now is the PS2 era. Is the PS2? Are you going to put the PS2 era in here? Are you going to get weird and put Mortal Kombat mythologies in there? Like,
you better.
What are you going to do? Like, but there's some weird directions you could take this legacy collection, and I'm genuinely curious where that's going to go. But like, this was like the last hurdle before you got to that era. And now that this is in it, it's sky's the limit, man. What do you got for us? I'm slowly getting more excited as the release gets closer.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where I look at this and it's like, I hope they just kind of put everything in here, but Digital Eclipse recently has been updating Atari 50 with like expansion packs, DLC drops.
So cool.
Yes, it's so cool. And it's like, okay, now we're going to do a bunch of, I think they're doing Namco games that came out on the Atari, and they have a whole dedicated thing for that. I wonder if that like might be one of the plans here is, okay, make this initial package really enticing, get a lot of people in there for sure, but what if we did Mortal Kombat spinoffs as its own thing later as DLC, so we can continue to support this game, or even potentially a Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection 2, which then does go, like maybe talk about the PS2 games and some of the other stuff, and tries to get them all collected. I hope at the very least we get one or the other. One thing I hope here is that it doesn't end with this. I want them to just keep mining the history of Mortal Kombat, and then when you get done with that, move on to the next awesome big thing after proving what you can do. Because I think they've already proven to a certain extent just how cool this can be with Atari 50 and several of the other things that they've done. But this does feel like a step up in terms of, we're getting a legacy collection from this generation of stuff, of Mortal Kombat games. That does feel like even more current, or like that's going to hit nostalgia for a lot more players. And so that is exciting. And I hope that this kind of just is a springboard for them to do this exact strategy with a ton of other franchises. Mortal Kombat is such a good first one, though. In that, that realm.
It really is. And if you go back to like the Legend of Karateka, they did that too. In that Gold Master series, the Jeff Minter Llamasoft game. I love these little interactive museums that they're doing. It's incredible stuff. Wild stuff.
All right, that does it for the headlines. We have a poll question from yesterday. We need to wrap up. Let's go ahead and get that real quick. Let me refer. Oh, did I not post the poll question? Of course, Jan's out and I forget to do this. All right, so we'll catch up on that next week. That's how it goes, everybody. There's too much other things going on.
It's all right.
We did a good job yesterday of holding on to everything, but definitely some things fall through the cracks like that. So we'll get that updated. We'll do that next week. But that means we'll get to the Bomb 12 here pretty soon. Before we do that, though, Jason Finelli, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all of that good stuff?
At jasonfinelli.com on Blue Sky, Big Man Finelli everywhere else. Was covering the Battlefield stuff. We'll be looking at Evo all week. If anything's breaking, I will post it on social and then probably get an article up on GameSpot at some point. MMORPG, I do Moonlight there every once in a while. I do owe them some articles as well. I'm still behind on my Bonanza review. I got to get that in. It's just been doing some other things here and there. If you follow me on social media, you'll get wrestling. You'll get pro wrestling. SummerSlam is this weekend too. Let's not forget. So you'll have Evo this weekend, SummerSlam this weekend, and I like to post cute pictures of my kids and my wife and my family, like this one here, who thinks we don't see her, but we absolutely do. Sneaking up there, I see you. But yeah, so well, and now she's gonna cheese the rest of the day. That's why I did that. So yeah, so that's wrestling, video games, nerd stuff, Magic the Gathering once in a while, and we have a good time. So Hidden Gimmick, that's right, Hidden Gimmick up there.
Hidden Gimmick's out now on Steam. There's 50 of them actually. Long series, yeah. We can make that. We should Chuck, make a video game for Giant Bomb. Another one, a second one. I mean.
Hidden gimmicks. Just take frozen pictures of like different shows and hide gimmicks.
I love it.
I love that. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I have going on. But this weekend it's Evo and wrestling, baby.
Hell yeah. All right. Fantastic. Jason, thank you so much for this whole week. It's been awesome to hang out with you. And you, like I was saying last night, easy to have someone on that I can trust to like know what they're talking about. Very good time. All right, let's do the Bomb 12, everybody. I have it ready on this screen. There we go. The Bomb 12 is the event of the week where we ask you, hey, what are the games that matter to you right now? Actually, what's your game? The one game that you want to put on this list? We got some responses. Let's kind of do the top three because that hasn't changed much from last week. It did flip a little bit. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 does continue to pick up momentum. It's number 2, while Donkey Kong Bonanza remains at number 1. That does mean Death Stranding 2, which still has a lot of players on this list, dropping down to number 3. But man, Jason, Claire Obscure just feels like this thing is going to turn into a moment for a lot of people. Like, I remember where I was when I first played that first Claire Obscure game, because more and more people are playing it each week.
Yeah, it's we talked about this last night. It's on my next list. Did you see it?
Yeah, I'll fix it right now. Yes, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. I was not going to say anything. I like seeing Wu Chang at number 4. I was not sure if people would really cling on to that, but it's cool to see it on this list. Grounded 2, which I believe hit early access earlier this week. Nice to see that there. 100 Line Last Defense Academy, which is another big gaping hole in my backlog because I loved Danganronpa, so I think that one would be very much my shit. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's cool. Death Stranding 2, holding on to that top spot.
No,
it just
chat, help me figure out what should go at number 5, because the problem we have right now is I forgot to swap out one of the Monster Train 2s, so it's at 5 and 7. So I'm going to give chat the opportunity to right now determine live what's going to go at number 5, and we'll see if we can come up with consensus really quick. So shout it out. What do you got? Anthem, Fortnite. We can. Oh yes. You know what? That is the one. Everyone's got it. All right, there, because there were a lot of people in the list who were playing this, and I probably did mean to intend to get it on there. Uma Masume. There you go. And then I'm going to go : Pretty Derby, because that's the subtitle of that game. All right, so let's recap the whole list now. Number 12 is the 100 Line Last Defense Academy. Number 11, No Sleep for Kaname Date from the Somnium Files. Yes, you freaks made it happen. I know there was a concerted effort. I know there was a concerted effort to get this on here, but there were a couple of those. And I'll tell you one thing I noticed. Well, I'm not going to tell people how I noticed that they were trying to cheat the system, so they don't try to do it or try to figure a way around it. But No Sleep for Kaname Date, that one seemed legitimate, so congratulations to you freaks for getting it on here. Number 10 is Wheel World. Number 9, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, dropped quite a bit, but still in the bottom 12, so good for it. Grounded at number 8. This is Grounded 2. This just popped off in early access. I'm going to be interested to see if this moves up or down, Jason, because this feels like one of those games that, you know, it's a survival a crafting game. Those things, when they pop off, they pop off. So
they really do. Is
this going to be one of those, or is it going to be like kind of, you know, middle of the road? We'll see. Number 7, Monster Train 2. Number 6, Final Fantasy 14. Is this just the game that I think this might be the game some people just play, because there were so many
about freaks.
Talk about freaks. More respondents this week for this game than last week. I think Final Fantasy 14 might be a permanent thing on here.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. It's just when people get, and when it gets into its hooks into people, it gets its hooks into people. And there are, I know many dozens of people who play it hours still every week, just love it, and get, you know, all sorts of pleasure out of it. That's, you know, I would not be surprised to see that in like lull moments throughout the year, as you keep doing this, bump its way up into the top 3.
Number 5, Uma Masume, Pretty Derby. I don't know if I spelled Uma Masume correct, but whatever. Number 4, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. Yeah, there were quite a few respondents for that. That's also, you know, new game popping off. People seem to be into it. And then, again, number 3, Death Stranding 2. Number 2, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And number 1, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Let's be clear. On the spreadsheet, when I'm just kind of like eyeballing it, Jason, Donkey Kong Bonanza goes on for pages and pages. It is a ton of people playing that game. Seems like a smash hit based on the early, still anecdotal evidence that we're collecting over here, but it definitely deserves to still be number 1. I will be interested to see, like, you know what? Do we have a good idea of like what could replace it, Jason? Like, what is the next big game that you think is going to be number 1 on the Bomb 12?
I mean, short term, I think it's going to be Claire Obscure. I think it's going to keep going.
Oh, I like that. But okay.
Eventually, but once Bonanza kind of, you know, tapers off here, but man, that's tough. Like what? Metal Delta?
Yeah, Delta. Maybe is it Delta? I think it could. Yeah,
because it's just you get the nostalgia people and the people who've never played a Metal Gear before, and people who haven't played Metal Gear Solid 3, Jeff.
Yeah,
that are going to play that. So. That based on the previews, this is a little further in the year, but that Silent Hill F seems really crazy.
Yep, that feels like one. I mean, the horror game freaks will show up for that one, as well as the Silent Hill fans, which there are legion. So yeah, that feels like one that's guaranteed to hit one when it comes out for sure. So yeah, I think Delta probably sounds right, but who knows? We'll be surprised. That's the possibilities with the Bomb 12. We never know what's going to happen. So I will put out a new call for, hey, what is your game this week? I'll probably do that on Sunday or Monday. That's going to be on my Blue Sky. I'll try to pin that so people can find it pretty easily. But we might also put that up on giantbomb.com. I might start writing a blog post version for the Bomb 12, and people can find the details there. All right. It's exciting. I like doing this. This is a fun thing to kind of keep track of. If people are into this, let me know. And if you have any ideas for the Bomb 12, I'd love to hear them. We want to keep making this an exciting way to end the week. One more time, Jason Finelli, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, man, talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love doing it. I love talking about games. I love being on this show with you mooks here at Giant Bomb. It's a lot of fun. Regular week next week. Unofficial Finale week is over. UFF is done. Everybody will be back, but I am here. If you ever need me, let's talk about games, my man.
Hell yeah, that sounds fantastic. We will do exactly that. Thank you all for hanging out with us this week as well. We're not done. UPF will be later. Might do something between now and then as well, kind of depending on how fast I can get it set up for UPF. Because again, I got to run everything myself. That's what happened yesterday, Jason. I was like, I'm going to try to play some Skies of Arcadia. And then it took me an hour and a half to get things set up for voicemail dump truck on the VM. But we got there eventually. So we'll see what happens today. Looking forward to make it all happen. Yes. And then, Jason, anything else? Looks like you were going to say something.
In chat had a great idea where you show some of the games that get one vote every week.
Oh, that's right. We were going to do that. Yes.
Call it the Dud 12. Or something like that.
I wanted to put them in the graphic, which is why we don't have it here. But there is one person for Mycopunk. We played that a little bit ago. I enjoyed it, but one person for Mycopunk. Let's see here. Only a couple people for Peak. Peak is like this dominant thing. But I think the way we have it phrased, the question is, what is your game? I think there's going to be a lot of games that are like, well, of course I go play Peak with my friends already, but my game right now is, and they want to say something cool. That's how I would feel about it. And I want that to be the energy that goes into the Bomb 12. I want it to be something you're proud to tell people about, because you got to try this game. That's what the Bomb 12 should be. So Peak not being exactly that, but still being this monster thing makes sense to me. Let's see here. See if I can find a couple other one vote getters. Stalker 2, one vote for Stalker 2. One vote for Stellar Blade, actually.
The Gooner.
The one Gooner still out there. One vote for UFO 50. There's going to be games that were probably a lot of people's one game last year, and there's a few people getting around to it right now. And of course, how did we miss this one? One vote for it, but it's maybe the most important vote for Wetrix. For Wetrix, everybody. The Wet Tetris. You know what this means. Is we're going to get a lot more Wetrix votes next month.
Oh no, you're skewing the vote. Poor Ninja Gaiden Ragebound has an actual claim on this list, and now we're just going to get a bunch of Wetrix.
Yep. Let's Ragebound, I'm sure will probably be represented next week. For Wetrix and stuff like this, I'm going to have to come up with some threshold for when I can tell it's a joke and there's a bunch of people are trying to get on the list. It's okay, you have more than this number, the joke worked, and I'll put it on the list. But anything below that, it's no, I'm not going to even acknowledge it. We'll see. All right, we are wrapping this show up. Thank you once again to everybody for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.